My mother-in-law dragged my 7-year-old daughter off the dance floor at my brother-in-law's wedding and shouted in front of everyone, "No child of a soldier ruins my son's day. Get her out." I didn't scream. I didn't make a scene. I simply picked up my daughter, walked out of the wedding hall, and made one phone call. What happened after that left my mother-in-law completely speechless. Is there anyone in your life that you wish you could get revenge on? Tell me in the comments who that person is and what they did. I'd really like to know your story. And please don't forget to like and subscribe so I can continue bringing you these stories. Your support helps me keep creating and sharing new content for you. My name is Colonel Rebecca Lawson, and this is the story of how my mother-in-law humiliated my daughter at a wedding, and how she found out the hard way who I really was. I had been married to Michael for 9 years. We had a beautiful 7-year-old daughter named Lily. Michael came from a wealthy and somewhat traditional family. His mother, Patricia, had never really accepted me. She always made subtle comments about how I was too independent and how military women don't make good wives. I had been in the Air Force for 12 years. I worked hard and rose through the ranks quietly. At the time of this incident, I was a lieutenant colonel, though I rarely spoke about my rank or uniform in front of Michael's family. I preferred to keep my professional life separate from them. Michael's younger brother was getting married, and the entire family was excited. We were all invited to the wedding. Lily was especially happy because she loved dancing. She had practiced for days just so she could dance at the wedding. Everything was going fine until the reception. Lily was on the dance floor with a few other children, laughing and enjoying herself. I was standing near the side, talking to one of Michael's cousins, when I suddenly heard a loud voice. I turned around and saw my mother-in-law, Patricia, holding Lily's arm and pulling her off the dance floor. Lily looked scared and confused. Patricia's voice was loud enough for many guests to hear. "No child of a soldier ruins my son's day," she snapped. "Get her out of here, right now. This is a respectable wedding, not some military camp." Lily's eyes filled with tears. She looked at me helplessly. I walked over quickly, but before I could reach them, Patricia had already pushed Lily toward me. "Take your daughter and leave," she said coldly. "She doesn't belong here." I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I simply took Lily's hand, picked up our things, and walked out of the wedding hall. Lily was crying in the car on the way home. "Mommy, why did Grandma say that?" she asked between sobs. "Did I do something wrong?" I held back my anger and replied softly, "No, baby, you did nothing wrong. Some people just don't know how to be kind." That night, after putting Lily to sleep, I sat alone in the living room. I was hurt, but more than that, I was furious. Not for myself, but because she had humiliated my 7-year-old daughter in front of so many people. I picked up my phone and made one call. The person on the other end picked up after 2 rings. "Rebecca?" the voice said. "I need your help," I replied calmly. "Something happened tonight." I didn't sleep that night. After putting Lily to bed, I sat in the living room for hours, replaying everything that had happened at the wedding. The way Patricia had grabbed my daughter's arm and dragged her off the dance floor in front of everyone still made my blood boil. Lily had cried herself to sleep, asking me over and over again why her grandmother had called her a soldier's brat. The next morning, Lily woke up with a high fever. She was burning up and complained of stomach pain. I immediately took her to the emergency room. The doctor said it was likely stress-induced and gave her some medication, but asked us to stay for observation for a few hours. While we were waiting in the ER, my phone rang. It was Michael. "Rebecca, where are you?" he asked, sounding stressed. Mom is saying you created a scene at the wedding and left without saying anything. She's really upset. I took a deep breath before replying. Michael, your mother dragged our 7-year-old daughter off the dance floor and humiliated her in front of the entire wedding. She called her a soldier's brat and told her to get out. And you're calling me because she is upset? There was silence on the other end for a few seconds. She said Lily was running around and disturbing the guests, Michael said weakly. She was dancing with other kids, Michael. That's what children do at weddings. Your mother had no right to touch her or speak to her like that. Michael sighed. Look, can we just talk about this later? Mom wants to resolve this. She's saying she'll apologize if you come back and talk to her. I looked at my daughter, lying on the hospital bed with an IV in her tiny arm, and felt something snap inside me. No, Michael, I said firmly. I'm not coming anywhere. And tell your mother that if she ever comes near my daughter again, she'll have to deal with me, not as your wife, but as someone she clearly doesn't know. I ended the call. 2 hours later, while I was still in the ER with Lily, 2 police officers walked in. One of them approached me. Ma'am, are you Rebecca Lawson? Yes, I replied. We received a complaint that you created a disturbance at a wedding last night and took a child without permission. The complainant is Patricia Caldwell. She wants to file a report. I looked at the officer calmly. Officer, that child is my daughter, and the woman who filed the complaint dragged my 7-year-old off the dance floor and called her a soldier's brat in front of 200 people. If anyone should be filing a complaint, it should be me. The officers looked at each other, clearly uncomfortable. Before they could say anything else, the door to the ER opened again. I had changed into my Air Force dress blues before coming to the hospital. The officers hadn't noticed it properly until now because I was sitting down. But when I stood up, the uniform became clearly visible, along with my rank insignia and the rows of ribbons on my chest. Both officers immediately straightened up. One of them looked at my name tag and rank, then at me. Ma'am? Colonel? He asked, surprised. I nodded. At that exact moment, Patricia walked into the ER with Michael behind her. She had come to follow up on her complaint. The moment she saw me standing there in full uniform, her steps slowed down. Her eyes moved from my face to the silver eagle on my shoulder, then to the name tag that read Lawson, and finally to the ribbons on my chest. She stopped completely. Her face went pale. One of the police officers turned to her and said, Ma'am, this is Colonel Rebecca Lawson. She's the mother of the child. Patricia looked like she had seen a ghost. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. Michael also stood frozen behind her. The officer continued, We were informed that you wanted to file a complaint against her for creating a disturbance at the wedding. However, multiple witnesses have already stated that you were the one who physically removed the child from the dance floor and used inappropriate language. Patricia still couldn't speak. I looked at her and said in a calm, steady voice, Mrs. Caldwell, I suggest you leave, right now, before I decide to press charges for harassment and defamation against my minor daughter. Patricia took a step back. She looked at Michael as if expecting him to say something, but he was still staring at my uniform in shock. She turned around without saying a word and walked out of the ER. Michael stayed behind for a few seconds. He looked at me, then at Lily, sleeping on the bed, and then back at me. Rebecca, you're a colonel? He asked quietly. I didn't answer him. I simply turned my attention back to my daughter. He stood there for a moment longer, then quietly left. 2 hours later, the doctor discharged Lily. As I was walking out of the hospital with her, one of the police officers who had come earlier approached me again. Ma'am, we're really sorry about the confusion earlier. We had no idea. I gave him a small nod. It's fine, officer. Just make sure something like this doesn't happen again. He nodded and left. As I drove home with Lily sleeping in the back seat, I realized something. For years, I had kept my professional life completely separate from Michael's family.
I never wore my uniform in front of them. I never spoke about my rank or my achievements. I had done it to keep the peace. But last night, by humiliating my daughter, Patricia had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. And now she knew exactly who I was. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about shouting or creating drama. Sometimes it's simply showing up in your truth and letting people realize too late that they had underestimated the wrong person.